Hey there, welcome to another episode of Trailside Dukes. Thanks for joining us. We've got an awesome show for you today. Lots of NFL action. We got some playoffs. It looks like you're a Green Bay Packer coach today, Tony.
Yeah, baby. Coach.
What do you got there?
Look what we got here. Dallas, I am your daddy. Let's go.
Okay. I didn't know Darth Vader was a Packers fan.
Yep. Look at that. He's got his Packers jersey on.
Where do you... Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So,
okay.
I think if you watch some of... there's a lot of controversy in Star Wars between the original three, the prequels, and then these last three. There's some Star Wars fans that are kind of so-so in the last three, you know what I mean? Because they kind of got away from... Luke ends up being like this old kind of like guy who's not really like Luke of old, which, big fans didn't like,
Yeah.
And then, Han Solo gets killed. So it's like controversy, right? But if you go back to the prequels, you can actually see Anakin when he's small, and on one of his little outfits, he's got a G on there. He's like a Packers
That's
fan.
for Green Bay.
It's totally for Green Bay.
It's not a star. It's not a blue star?
No, Anakin was a Packers fan.
Okay.
I know. It's pretty cool.
Well, let's just dive right into it then for the NFL playoffs. I mean, we had some games over the weekend. A lot of games didn't go the way I thought they would. I mean, some blowouts, actually. I mean, one game that was fun to watch was the Rams-Lions game because it was a close one.
Game.
Cool story, the quarterbacks and everything, right?
Yeah, Stafford used to be the Lions quarterback for a long time and was good. Goff, had played a couple years in L.A., this and that, and they make the big trade and switcherooski. Stafford ends up winning a Super Bowl with the Rams.
The next year
and
after
Goff's
the trade.
Kind of like in no man's land, but last couple years, he's been solid. He's been good enough that they win tight games. He's a good quarterback. It was kind of interesting to see him hug it out after the game, and Goff said something to Stafford, and Stafford looked like it was respectable, and so whatever, I think Goff was kind of classy there, but shoot, we're going to see what happens.
Huh?
Good for Detroit, you know what I mean? I'd like to say I hope they go far, but I think their road's going to go through Green Bay.
It could.
We got a big game against the Niners, but we'll see what happens,
You do.
The Packers were 7-point underdogs against Dallas. They are 9.5 underdogs against the Niners. Niners are dang good, but I think you can arguably say if the Packers beat the Niners, hey, here you go, Nick. Let's go. We're going to win the Super Bowl.
So I'm wondering, has Nick responded to you yet on your little wager thing? Like you guys were talking a little trash about,
$10, right? Because he said put your money where your mouth is. I got my $10, Nick. You know what I mean? But if the Packers win it all, you owe me $100. He never responded back to that.
So maybe, do you ever treat him like you treat me? Like if something was kind of said, then you just take it all the way, like this paintball gun thing, and then you're just like,
sure.
They'll win the Super Bowl, and you're like, where's my $100, Nick?
I have no doubt. I mean, we've said it here on the podcast. If it's on the podcast, it's true.
It is.
Right?
We're 100% correct only 30% of the time.
Right.
Kind of like a fragrance, I know.
That's like a Yogi Berra line. For sure.
Okay, so let's see. What other games were there? Houston took down Cleveland. So
Tony
was incorrect. 45 points.
Tony, our cool friend from last week. If you don't get a chance to watch that, our buddy Tony Cox is from Cleveland, and of course, he's all in on the Dogs making in the playoffs. And dang it, it was close at the beginning, and then Stroud, man, he is good.
Dude, he was on.
Yeah,
he was on. So it'll be interesting to see if they can do anything against Baltimore, because I just feel like Baltimore's the team to beat in the playoffs right now.
It'll be an interesting game to watch
on the AFC side. But yeah, Houston 45 points put up against Cleveland in their defense. So
crazy things have happened.
Yep. And then we had your Packers beat Dallas, and I watched a little video today where it was the local news station was interviewing Dallas fans as they were coming out from that game.
They were mad.
Why
do I have this jacket? Why do I have this Cowboys jacket?
You know, you see a couple. We drove all the way from Florida for this freezing weather just to watch that game, and blah. They could have their own I'm Mad segment. They could be an I'm Mad segment.
Yeah, Coach Vesser, Coach Langley, Coach Donovan. Who else we got? Odenthal's a Cowboys fan.
Yes. Yep.
And boy, they have, other than having a pretty good regular season, if you look at the history of the playoffs since they won their last Super Bowl in the 90s, right, it has been lose in a wild card, lose in a divisional. They haven't even made it to an NFC championship since the 90s. They, Jerry Jones, did you see the video of him? I saw two.
Oh, where he was doing the interview kind of thing, and he was just like distraught.
Crying. His lip was quavering. You know what I mean? Jeez.
We'll talk about some coaching decisions here in a moment, but
Jerry better sell it.
I always think Jerry's a little crazy. Like if something like this happens, he gets rid of a good coach, and he goes and grabs another one. And they haven't said anything yet, but I think he's going to be looking for a new head coach after this one.
If you had all the money in the world, and with how the Cowboys were this season, would you look for a new coach? Or would you stick with McCarthy?
I don't know. That's a hard one to answer. And part of me being undecided is because McCarthy decided that he was going to take on the offensive duties this year, right?
Yeah.
And he did. And that's fine. You had a good offensive coordinator, right? Kellen Moore last year, and now he's at the Chargers. Yep. But then, so you've taken it over, you got rid of the guy that you had before, but you still end up in the same spot. Does that constitute a change after the 1 year, with McCarthy running the show? I don't know. But I think this is what I think will happen. Jerry's going to let him go. And I think Belichick's going to end up there. I know Belichick hasn't interviewed with them or anything as of when we're running this podcast right now. But I'm calling it. I think that's where he goes.
I could see Jerry going with Belichick.
Yeah, easily.
Do you make him the GM as well? Or just a head coach?
I'm sure whatever Belichick wants, he would get. And I don't know. That Jerry is kind of a power kind of driven guy, so I don't know if he'd give that up and let that.
He likes Hall of Fame type head coaches.
Yeah.
Right? You had Parcells, obviously, what's his name? Their head coach that won in the 90s, brain farting.
Johnson?
Yeah. Yeah. And so,
how about them Cowboys, Johnson?
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah.
So Belichick kind of makes sense. I don't know.
I think he's the guy there. But let's say, before we get sidetracked with all the coaching stuff, maybe we cover, the upcoming playoff games that we have this week, on Saturday.
Well, have we talked about everything that just happened? Kansas City, Miami game?
Cold game. Right?
Dang it. And I'm sorry, buddy. Sorry about your Dolphins.
That's okay.
You still got to have Marino here.
One of the things I was talking about with Tony on the chairlift just yesterday.
Okay.
We're up there skiing, and on the chairlift I go, well, Tony, our team's lost. Perka's team won. I said, the good thing about losing is that we don't have to get our hopes up and go through this roller coaster of emotions every single weekend as we go through the playoffs.
Well, he didn't go skiing.
It's nice to be done.
He didn't go skiing Saturday, right? Because he wanted to watch the game.
Well, that, and it was colder here than it was in KC. Almost the same temperatures, but way too cold to ski. I skied the day before in negative 20-something degree weather, and it was the coldest I've ever skied in. And not pleasurable. I guess fans
that you gotta be
fully covered. I could do 3 runs and go inside. Did another 3 runs and then came home. It just wasn't worth it. But I saw that there was over a dozen people at that Kansas City game treated dozens of people treated for hypothermia and frostbite. Yeah, you see these guys out there. I know some people saw it pregame, especially the Dolphins fan, looking like, I'm just going to say it, he looked like an idiot. He had a beanie on, but then he's just nothing.
Dude, he was excited about his team. He
had no shirt on and just a beanie. And, you mix...
You think that guy was one of the frostbite guys?
He had to be. Like, seriously. Like, unbelievable. People that had their kids there, I mean, they were bundled up, but that's not... I don't know. That's crazy.
What's funny is I watched that with some friends that aren't real familiar with football, and they're like, how do those guys play the game and they have, like, skin showing, right?
Yeah.
But what they don't know is, like, when you come off to the sideline, you're throwing the big parka on, the big parka jacket and stuff. So you go out there and, football being football, you have these short spurts.
Guys subbing in and out.
Yeah, I mean, most of your linemen aren't. It's mostly the linemen you see that are just showing stuff. But, they're not out there for 60 minutes straight. They're out there for a 10, 15-minute spurt, or if it's a 3 and out, they're not out there very much, and then you're back on the sideline.
Yep.
But that guy with his shirt off, the fan,
he doesn't have that.
He's probably got parts of him that are burnt, frozen burnt.
Well, and to make it worse, Miami didn't even really make it much of a game. So,
well, like you and I talked about, would you take your, it's a lot of money to go to an NFL game, but would you
not
take
that
your
game? Tickets were going for like $50.
Oh, you're kidding me!
People were getting rid of them because they didn't want to go to the game.
Right.
They were like, "I'll watch it from the comfort of my own home." Yeah. And in those markets, Kansas City and Miami, they actually got the game. I know you're going to talk about this in your I'm Mad segment, but
I'm going to go there.
It was on television for their markets.
Yeah. I mean, would you take your family to a game like
that?
No,
I'd sit if I was in that market, I'd sit at home. Yeah. Even if I wasn't in the market,
I'd if you were a Chiefs fan, being a schmo like you and I, would we have gone for $50?
I'd have to be a pretty big fan. If you lived there, are you talking about if it was just like your town?
Your town.
Yeah.
You would have gone.
Yeah. If it was the Packers with $50 tickets,
for sure.
We're going.
For sure we're
going.
But
I don't even like them. I'd go to watch.
You and I, we've skied, we've lived around here and stuff. So like I would take a box of hand warmers, a box of the feet warmers. You know what I mean?
I'd wear my battery operated socks, and I'd wear all that stuff.
Change
the gloves.
Maybe you have an extra set of gloves.
I'd go out and buy one of those coats.
Liners, and then in the big mitts, just so you could have a beverage in your hand.
Yeah, I would do all of that stuff, and then you would probably be the guy with just a beanie on, right?
Maybe in my 20s.
Your beanie and your beard.
Maybe in my 20s.
Just a little B&B.
Yeah, at this age, I don't think I would be that guy.
Okay.
Yep. Maybe.
Well, what else we had? We had Buffalo take care of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I didn't really watch that game. I was out in the backcountry while that was going.
Didn't watch it either.
One of the plays I did see was that big break that Allen had, that run of like 54 yards.
Didn't see it.
And so if you watch this play, he gets going, he has the first down, and he acts like he's going to slide.
He did that again?
He acts like he's going to do the slide, and then the defenders let up, right? Because if a quarterback goes into a sliding position and you hit him, it's going to be a 15-yard penalty.
Like that.
Right? So he does the fake little slide for a second.
I don't like that.
Kind of comes down, and then he pops up, and the guy lets up, and boom, he goes right around him.
Defense should just hammer him.
Well, it's something
they are trained not to, right? Because they're going to get a huge penalty.
Exactly.
Don't hurt the quarterback.
Because he would have taken him down just maybe outside of field goal range. If you get that penalty, definitely you're giving up probably 3 points, right? More
Here's
than
the
likely.
good thing. It didn't matter, right? Pittsburgh wouldn't have won that game, but I still don't like it.
It's just one play that I saw out of the many plays that happened during a game. I'm not saying it's the only thing that cost Pittsburgh the game, because I don't know, but it's just one of those things where it's like, maybe the NFL needs to look at something like that. Like, if you do that,
if you want protection, then don't fake it. Yeah, don't do the fake.
And I'm all for protecting the guys and the injuries and stuff like that, but
he's creative.
I think the quarterbacks get away with a little too much, and that's even me talking after my quarterback last year had concussion syndrome the whole season. So, I mean, I get protecting them, but they, if that's what it's going to be, why not? They'll use it as their own thing. I could see Lamar doing the same thing, or any of those quarterbacks, right? Mahomes and all that stuff. They're smart. So, pretty soon I think the other quarterbacks are going to take notice of that Allen's been able to do that a couple times and maybe start doing it. I don't know.
We'll see. You know what I mean? If I was, who do they play next? They play Kansas City, right?
Kansas City's at Buffalo, so maybe Mahomes will do it to Allen's team. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have no idea.
That will be real interesting.
Tampa Bay took care of Philly last night.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield. Oh,
Tony said he was garbage. Cox said Baker's garbage. That guy's garbage. He only got us to the, once into the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I mean,
no statues of Mayfield and no statues of Flacco, I guess.
I don't know. Cleveland, they've kind of had the quarterback carousel, and they rode Flacco for a while. But yeah, I mean, whatever about that. But Baker had a good game.
He did. Yeah.
But Philly, holy moly, is it so much Baker? Is it more that Philly's defense? I think it went down the tube.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I mean, looking at the lineup of the playoffs, I would have said they were the worst team just before any of the games were played. I mean, they were coming in with all the wins that they had at the beginning of the year. They just, I don't know what happened to them at the end of the season. They went downhill quick, and it's kind of sad to see today.
Wasn't losing close games. It was kind of getting shellacked.
Yeah, and I could see it, as I was watching the end of that game last night. I'm sitting on the couch there with Callie, and I'm looking at Jason Kelsey walking off the field, and I just looked at it and I said out loud, I go, he's done. I think this was his last game. I can see it in his face, and Kelly's just like, how do you know? And so when she was at school today, she sent it to me. He retired.
She found it. He retired.
He retired. Wow. Yeah. And so, she's like, how did you know, Dad? And I said, you can just kind of tell sometimes in some of those, I think, us being around athletes and athletics and us going through it ourselves, you just kind of know what that looks like on certain people. We all have our own experience, right? And so I just shared that with her. It was kind of one of those life learning lessons kind of thing where I said, well, a guy puts in, all that time, effort, and energy into something that you love doing, and and not to just say a guy, but girls as well, just any athlete that really works hard and that's it for them.
Yeah, when your body might be trashed.
Comes to the end of the road, sometimes it's not always a happy ending, as happy as you would want it to be. Just his character and doing the right thing and his work ethic, and it's just So that was kind of a sad way to go out, I think, for him after all that.
For sure.
That build up for all that whole team and the city and everything. Everybody was excited. I mean, they were on fire.
God, they were.
So
hoop happens.
So this weekend we got Houston at Baltimore. Right? Baltimore had the bye. They've had a lot of their starters 2 weeks to...
I'm going with underdogs.
You're going with...
Go Houston.
You're going with them, huh? You think that they're going to continue to be lighting it up at the quarterback position and...
Go Houston.
Collins all the way. Okay.
Stroud, what a story.
I know.
Rookie year.
That'll be if they're playing that level that they did this last weekend, that'll be a fun game to watch.
Well, I think the same for the Packers game. And what's funny is Jordan Love and Stroud had a perfect quarterback rating, right? 3 touchdowns. They all were 17 for 21, no interceptions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Pretty amazing for those two quarterbacks. I know Love isn't a rookie, you know what I mean, but it is his first season taking over, and frick, what a Cinderella story. So him and Stroud, so go underdogs.
Yep.
Let's go.
One thing that hasn't been shared on the show, just remember how
Dude, are you sure you want to share this right now?
Sometimes I predict, what's going to happen, and I say it to you, but I never say it on the show.
Okay.
Do you remember, 4 weeks ago when it was right before Minnesota played Green Bay? right? The last matchup that they had.
And you said Green Bay was going to win the Super Bowl?
I didn't say they were going to win the Super Bowl, but the Vikings had a better record. And I said, you know what, Tony? I think Green Bay is going to surprise a lot of people, and they're going to end up getting one of the wild card spots to the playoffs, and I think the Vikings are going to miss out. And I wasn't being mean. I was
you're
just being,
prophetic.
Yeah.
Not pathetic.
And I'm not trying to rub it in on our buddy Nick or anything like that.
We can rub it in on Nick. He can take it.
But I just had that feeling that I think Green Bay is going to make the move, and they're gonna get in. And at that point, I don't think a lot of people would have figured
Here's
that.
to that.
I'm not saying anything different, but sometimes Darth Vader can make you think, what are you doing here?
No, we
got all sorts of stuff. What is this? I've never even...
Packers...
Totem?
Totem. Oh my gosh. Dude, I like how you talk.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, they'll go to San Francisco, and I think the same thing. If they can play as well as they did against Dallas, then they could have a shot at San Francisco. I mean...
Yep.
Dallas's
offense are not chumps. I mean, they did put up some points.
Yes.
Dak threw a pick six, and also like a crucial interception where, gosh dang it, and I'm going to brain fart on this corner's name, but it'll come to me. But what a play he did diving in on that slant and picking it off and
jumping the route.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so that was in the red zone. So shoot, you know what I mean? Like
both of them were in the red zone, weren't they?
Yep,
or near there? Oh,
yeah.
So those are big.
If the Packers can come out with a solid D and Jordan Love plays solid like that, they get a shot. Let's see what happens.
Yep.
What else we got?
We got Tampa Bay going to Detroit. So Detroit gets another home game in front of their fans. How exciting.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Fun for Detroit fans. They show like, did you see the one fan who was like in his late 90s?
Yeah, that guy that's been a ticket holder for like 50 seasons or something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, neat. Yeah, they were talking about all the different generations.
Kid Rock was there, got a chant going.
Eminem.
Kid Rock? Eminem? Well, yeah, one of those guys got a chant going. But yeah, they were both there. Detroit Rock City.
Yep, and one of the things I always think of is one of my soccer coaches growing up. I played with his son. We played together on the soccer team, but he ended up being our coach for a season or two. Mm-hmm. His name was Sam, and he was from Detroit, and so he was this huge Lions fan back then when I was a kid, right? And he passed away, from cancer quite a while ago. But anytime the Detroit's doing very well, I think of him.
That's awesome. That's
and
super
I'm
cool.
sure that's just one of the microcosm stories of all the people in Detroit. There's always something, right, with that kind of history.
For
and
sure.
Getting excited when the days of Barry Sanders and stuff like that, and then just kind of like the Cleveland thing. You get used to losing, and then it's like, when's it going to be our turn? So
those fans are going nuts.
It's awesome for them and the city for sure.
Fun.
And then Kansas City at Buffalo. So wonder what the weather will be like for that one. I don't know, but two cold weather teams going at it.
It's not going to be 80 degrees.
It's not. No. What do we have? We have only the Detroit games in a dome.
Right.
Yeah. So the rest will be outside.
Niners game won't be terrible, but whatever.
So we kind of alluded to it before, but we've already kind of talked about the Cowboys and what I think is going to happen. But there's lots of coaching carousel stuff starting right now, right?
Yes, there is.
So who do we got? We got the Seahawks. We got Washington looking for Atlanta, looking for a new guy. Chargers are looking for somebody new. We've had people interview. Why don't you take us through that?
Well, you know what I mean? Like all those openings, then who's going to fill them? And, you got Belichick, who is actively seeking a job. I don't think Coach Saban, Alabama retired, is looking at the NFL. I think he's just done.
I haven't heard
But you got
anything,
Harbaugh. Harbaugh's interviewing around, right? Interviewed with the Chargers and just interviewed with Atlanta.
Atlanta today, yeah. So he's already interviewing, yeah.
And, I'm curious what you think on here. Like, if I was Harbaugh and I was going to go to the NFL and you got your pick of spots, right?
Sure.
He's probably got his pick, other than what you think Cowboys are going to take Belichick, which could happen.
Yeah.
But, like, I would think you'd want to go to the NFL team that is in a weak division.
I would.
You got a chance to, like, and you got to assess the team. And
yeah.
So who would you go with if you were Harbaugh?
Well, me personally, I think it would be good for him to if he's still familiar with the NFC West. I don't know. I mean, he's been out for a while. To me, it just makes sense that
there is only one solid team in the NFC West, right? I mean, it's the Niners.
The Niners, and then, I mean, with the Rams, what they did late to make the playoffs. It's not
the Rams are good.
It's
no,
not
it's not
an
easy conference.
It's not
an easy division.
Yeah, so, I mean, honestly, why not take the NFC South? I mean, you got the Panthers, the Falcons, Tampa Bay, and the Saints, right? Saints are kind of having some issues,
that's
especially
the weakest division.
I think so. So why not pick a team in there and
take Atlanta?
Hey, if you go 500, how is it any worse than what they did this year? You know, because Tampa Bay, I think they had maybe 2 wins over 500 to win the division, right. And so why not take that one? You know, with the problems that those other teams are having. I mean, really, that to me would be an easy choice. And Atlanta actually has some really good players. Yeah. They just need to get it together, kind of. And
I think you're right. But why is nobody talking about Washington, John?
I don't know. That's what one of the things we were talking about before the show today. It was like, how come nobody's saying anything about Washington?
That will be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's...
And there's some OCs out there and some defensive coordinators that are really good, that are always like, they're going to get their shot. And maybe that's the Washington one, because nobody seems to wants to go there. So you're going to...
Maybe so.
You're going to take somebody that wants to make a name
You've
for
had
themselves.
Seattle already request an interview with Dan Quinn. There's another... coordinator for the Cowboys that could be gone.
And he's got some Seahawks connections, right? He was the D coordinator when they were really good, and so.
But you were talking about maybe Vrabel being a front runner for Seattle. I could see one of those two guys maybe if they decided they wanted to do Seattle. I could see Seattle kind of going with something like that. Yeah. I think Seattle. I mean, it's just weird. I mean, you think of Belichick being in a different uniform. After all these years,
on the Seahawks sideline?
I just don't see that happening. I don't know. That'd be weird. I just don't see him going there. I don't know. I'm not sure.
That would be funny
I never know what to think of Belichick. So
right. Well, he's Croatian.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's got that going for him.
I don't know. I don't see him being a West Coast kind of guy at all, but I could be completely wrong. I mean, he was moved around a lot in his NFL, tenure. Yeah. So who knows?
Well, it's gonna. I mean, it's gonna take big money,
right?
So I don't know. Dallas, Belichick
could be
I could see him more in Dallas than I could see him. Well, or maybe Atlanta. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. So, any other coaching moves you want to talk about, or? Is there any other guys we're forgetting? I know there's offensive coordinator for Miami's kind of being looked at. That's the only other one I can kind of think of. Yeah. But I think what we'll see is once one team selects their guy, then some of the other ones might start falling in place, right? Yeah. I mean, that's all part of that coaching
in the next few
carousel.
weeks, I'm sure.
Well, I think that's about it. I mean, we've covered the games that are coming up. I think maybe we can just go right into I'm Mad. Because,
you want to go into I'm Mad?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
So I know you're upset about.
I'm waiting for. I'm mad as.
Yeah, and so I know you're upset about one of the games, right? Since we were talking about it, what are you mad about this week?
Well, I would have watched some of the Kansas City Miami game, except it was on Peacock.
That's right, it was.
Like, I don't even like saying that. So, what the heck? Terrible.
So
I'm not buying it,
Yeah.
Jack, my son, a football fan, we're there, and he's like, Dad, should we just pay the $7-8, whatever, and you know what I mean?
For the
just
one game?
Whatever.
Yeah.
You're buying it for the month or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. Like, the heck with Peacock. The heck with the NFL. They're not getting my $6 to watch this game. I just want to watch the game. Perfect. How do you like that? There you go, NFL.
Yeah. I saw that there were a lot of people that felt the same way you did.
Yeah, we're mad.
Right? Social
Terrible.
media, they were blowing it up. They're like, hey, what's the deal?
I hope they didn't. I hope I hope that Peacock didn't make a bunch of money off of that. I don't know. They sound like they paid a lot of money to the NFL.
I think it was either 120 million or 125 million that they paid to have the exclusive, rights to be able to do that on their platform. For NFL not to show it on, NBC network.
NFL, you suck. Right? Like you don't make enough money already, and ticket prices are outrageous and terrible. So now this is where it's going. Like, don't buy it, because if we start doing that, then who knows how far this starts going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then all your games you're going to have to pay for and stream and all that. That's terrible.
Could end up being that way. I mean, I've heard discussion about it being like you're saying, does it end up being where all of a sudden these big games in the playoffs start being like a pay-per-view thing, right?
Terrible.
Like, remember MMA when it started, like, you're doing pay-per-view events, right? You pay for the broadcast or whatever. Like, is it going to become something like that?
Terrible.
Does the Super Bowl all of a sudden become a pay-per-view thing?
Terrible.
Like, I mean, yeah, it can bring in the money, but will it bring in the ratings? And then I just don't know what that looks like over time if you keep doing that, as far as if
I was a lawyer for the people, I would give them every antitrust thing, whatever. Like, come on. Like, you get local blackouts, right? Like, okay, you can't, watch the game because you could go to the game. This is, 180-degree, terrible.
Yeah, I understand. You're mad.
We're mad. We're mad. Don't pay.
Well, I wonder if that guy that was at the game with just a beanie on, his beanie, I wonder how mad he is now that he probably has frostbite all over his belly.
He's getting medical attention. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I think the one good thing out of that is that they had it available for the Kansas City market and the Miami market. So those people could watch their teams, but yeah, I get it. I mean, it's just after that pregame thing, it's poof, you're done, and you're sitting there wondering, what do I got to do with this Peacock stuff? Can I make this work?
I can tell you what to do with the Peacock. Wow. Shove it.
Put it in the oven.
Shove it. Throw it in the lake. Terrible. What are you mad about, Corey?
If you were in a cage with peacocks.
Yes.
We've talked about geese, but how many peacocks do you think you could take?
100.
Do you think they're easier than a goose?
Yes.
Have you seen an angry peacock?
I've seen them in the zoo.
Right. But have you seen an angry peacock?
No. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
They could get mean.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
you see them, they do their thing like the peacock.
Yeah.
They throw their tail up and
they don't want to see
they'll
me.
They'll start doing like this quivering, shivering kind of look
I've seen
thing,
that.
right?
Where it makes their quills
they flutter,
look like eyes, so they
they
scare their
flutter.
enemy.
Yeah.
Well,
and then they'll charge.
Yeah, whatever. That's also the NBC logo, right? Is that
kind of maybe that's what they were doing for the NFL fans? They're like, don't mess with us.
Yeah, peacocks. Well, you're gonna see us mad. Keep making us pay. I don't care if you're a live peacock. We're mad. Bring it. 100 peacocks. Let's go.
Do you know what a peacock sounds like?
No.
You don't know the sound a peacock makes?
No.
It is.
How do you know this stuff?
I've done some research.
Okay.
On the peacock.
Okay.
It's like a wild scream.
Really?
Yeah.
Like it's a turkey?
No. It's a scream like in between like a cat in heat and a person yelling.
Well, that would be weird in a cage match with a bunch of.
It's
them
just
screaming.
like a ah sound.
Interesting. Okay, how many could you take?
Ooh, I don't know. These birds, man. These birds. I get all. Yeah, I'm still going with how many I could take with geese. I think. I mean, to me, they're just. I don't know if it's their tail or what, but
okay.
I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be about the same.
Okay.
I think I'm maxed out at 6 geese.
Yeah.
Maybe 6
You're
peacocks.
about 6
I don't know. It
peacocks.
depends on how big the cage is.
Well, you've seen them more than I have, so I don't know.
I brought up the question, so I should be prepared to answer my own question. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm mad about cold weather. Usually I'm not, because I want the snow.
28 degrees where it's snowing and you get dumps of snow?
That's fine.
You like that cold weather?
Well, that compared to what we've had, that would feel like a holiday.
Right.
Like, it'd be nice. But I'm talking like sub-zero temperatures, negatives, right? Which we've had in our area and a lot of the U.S. Very cold weather this last week. It
causes problems.
It does. And that's what I'm upset about. You know, local businesses, pipes freezing.
Economics.
I was just seeing, yesterday, places downtown, pipes are freezing and bursting.
Yeah.
Water issues.
Scary.
Destroying their place of business. Restaurants having to close down, and for me,
no, that's people's livelihood.
That's exactly right. I mean,
people are mad. You're mad. I get it. I'm mad.
Servers are trying to earn a living, and there's it's hard to find a lot of good servers,
all aspects,
good workers, period.
All aspects.
And now those people can't work because the restaurant's closed for a couple weeks while they do repairs or whatever, and
it sucks.
That does suck.
Well, and shooting, you're coming right out of Christmas, right? Like, you feel for people.
No time's a good time, but
no time's a good time. But
this time of year can be tough.
So we're thinking about you. Hang in there, people.
Yeah. So that's what I'm mad about.
Ski hills are taking a big dent. People aren't going up to the hill in this weather.
Yeah, I've been up there a couple times during the cold spell, and I mentioned
numbers
that
are
one
way down.
day, but just yesterday we were up there.
Numbers
you
are
can
way
ski right
down.
up to the chair, no problem.
And
no numbers at all.
On a regular weather,
on a holiday,
long weekend, it's packed.
Yes, so that's a moneymaker day.
That's economics. It sucks.
And probably most of us that were there yesterday, I'm thinking about the mountain now as we're talking about it. Most of us are probably season pass holders, so you're not getting a lot of new money,
which they would have had from out of town people staying in town or doing this and that.
And luckily where we go, they have a water park, so maybe the water park did well. I don't know. I don't really step foot in there.
Well, I'm with you. I'm mad.
Yeah,
it's too cold. Mother Nature help us out.
Almost 10 degrees today here at home. Felt pretty good.
Right.
I mean, that's a big swing. 20
you were
degrees
walking
almost.
outside of the house with your shirt off.
Oh, you can be like that Miami fan.
But yeah, come on, Mother Nature, help us out here.
Yep.
Let's go. Let's change it.
So that's what I have. I mean, if you need to stay warm, why not grab a Trailside Dukes hoodie? Maybe a sweatshirt or something from our shop.
Yeah, you got to stay warm.
If you're interested, all you got to do, Tony, is go to our description. And in the description for this episode, there's going to be a couple of links. You can use those links to go to the shop and get yourself something warm to stay warm. Toasty during the cold spell.
Or a candle. You can huddle around the candle.
Yeah. Maybe a little heat, but very good sense.
Right.
Smell goods.
Fun.
Okay. Well, if you like what you're hearing, definitely subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell for notifications so you know what's going on with us and, any little things that we have updating and fun things that we have that we put on our channel. If you're listening, we really appreciate you. Tell your friends and, hey, stay warm out there. Go Packers, huh?
Go Pack, go. Yeah, baby.